Hey there, boys and girls, it's Christopher here with...
ADOS! And today we're talking about more people from a different decade because y'all really liked the last one. Holy shit!
Yup! Um, oh boy, so we have a nice, lovely lineup of new people, and of course, some, same folk who, unlike last time, we will not be talking about too much. We'll throw in a few new tidbits, and of course, mention, their movies. But, otherwise, we'll just keep it pushing. Mostly because, Cypher does have things to do after this fucking video. That's a whole other topic for another time. So, let's hop right on into our first person, or first persons, because, we have mine and then we have Oz's. So
Yes.
for my number 10 is Bebe Daniels. And for Oz,
My number 10 is Joseph von Sternberg.
yep, so let's pull up our infos that we need for these individuals. So to begin, I guess, of course, ladies looking first, so Miss Bebe goes in first. She was born in 1901 and she passed away sometime in 1971. Rippy Roni. She had some very thin eyebrows. So, this is of course 1920. So, her first film, if IMDb would actually load them properly, was good lord, she had open films. Her first film was Why Change Your Wife in 1920, of course.
Yes.
And flashing forward towards the end of the decade was Rio Rita, which I actually did watch. Good film. It was around like a 6 for me.
I'm incredibly uncomfortable that have seen more films than I from a lot of these years. I need to up my game.
She also not steered, what the hell, starred in another film. I also have, so I watched like half of it. I got busy. It was called She's a Chic, which is a good film as well. I really recommend it. It's really fucking good.
Hell yeah.
So I will now get over to her fucking fun facts. Reportedly, Bebe was Al Capone's favorite actress. When Bebe and Ben were visiting a hotel, their hotel room was burgled and thousands of jewels were stolen. When Capone heard about this, he sent out a warning to whoever stole Bebe's property that they had 24 hours to return it. The items were returned, by the way. I actually recall reading this before.
The more I learn about Al Capone, the more he seems like a massive nerd, like of the 1920s type. Like he kidnapped Fats Waller to perform for his birthday, would threaten other criminals if they mess with his favorite celebrities. The dude, I know he was a terrible criminal, but he sounds like such a dork.
Her movie, The Speed Girl, in 1921, was made to capitalize on her 10-day jail sentence for multiple speeding tickets. The movie poster shows her walking out of a jail cell.
It's good to know that people made cheap exploitation movies even in the 1920s.
I love that. She had two children, a daughter named Barbara, and an adopted son, Richard Lyons. She became a singer for the British Columbia Records and became London's top disc jockey. Later, when with his mother, operated an interior decorating and antique studio. Neat. She also, as her final piece of fun facts here, through various sources, indicated that she is related to Mickey Daniels of our gang. They are not related. Bebe's father's full name was Maville Daniel McNeil, and she was an only child.
Oh,
Yep, off to your fella.
yes, Joseph von Sternberg. He was a director uh, from Vienna and also New York. His first film was in the mid 20s, The Salvation Hunters. I have not seen it. His last film of the 20s was Thunderbolt, which I have seen, and it was okay. Sternberg was a great director, though I will make fun of him and have made fun of him multiple times that all of his films center around showgirls. Because even directors were typecast in this era of old Hollywood. But um I don't know, the reason I picked him for number 10 personally is just he is a very important director and has done a lot of really famous works, but none of them have really clicked with me in the same way that a lot of these other people on this list have clicked with me. On to some trivia, though. Okay, now I get it. He had an intense creative and sexual relationship with Marlene Dietrich, who is the showgirl in all of his movies. Charlie Chaplin was so impressed with the Salvation Hunters at a preview that he screened a copy for Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford, who convinced United Artists financial officer Joseph Schnench to secure worldwide distributions rights for the company for $20,000, which in the 1920s is a huge amount of money. Von Sternberg had a disastrous two-picture deal at MGM during the middle 20s. Louis B. Mayer hated his work on The Exquisite Sitter and ordered the film reshot by Phil Rosen. And von Sternberg disliked working with Mae Murray so much in The Masked Bride that he walked out after shooting a few reels and was replaced by Christy Cabane. He seems very much like a proto... what would be the word? A proto Orson Welles.
I love that.
He directed 3 different Oscar-nominated performances, being he worked with Emil Jannings, George Bancroft, and Marlene Dietrich, obviously, and Janning even won for The Last Command. So, from the sounds of it and from what I know of his works, very strong-headed figure in film. Very much, I'm going to do things my own way.
Yep. So, if that's all, we can now get on to our number 9.
Yes.
So, with mine, it is Mr. Rudolph Valentino, and with Oz's
Emil Jannings.
So, to begin with Mr. Rudolph, because he's an actor that actually could have been, keyword, could have been in our last people of this decade. But mostly, I wasn't just like thinking about him for real. I kind of forgot his existence. That's okay. So he was born in 1895 and he died unfortunately in 1926. Sad. So this is his last decade. We won't be seeing him after this, unfortunately. But his first film was an adventurous, and his last film ever was The Son of the Sheik.
That's an unfortunate last film.
Yeah, so his most noteworthy film that I know of, and I imagine Oz knows of, is The Sheik. Yeah, it's just how it be. I thought The Sheik was okay. It wasn't the.
I also thought The Sheik was okay.
Yeah, from what I understand, the second Sheik film did a lot better. By comparison, I have not. I can't recall watching it.
That is depressing. If that is the case, I mean, obviously influential guy, but The Sheik was not my film. I'll say that much. And Son of the Sheik was even worse.
Yeah. So what I usually like, like the last video, we also did fucking quotes, but I won't be really doing it this time. Except in this one case, because he was so progressive with this statement. This is a very important quote that should have been a eye opener, but unfortunately it got drowned out by the 1920s.
we gotta wait another 40 years for this kind of stuff to become relevant again.
Yeah, and I love his quotes. To generalize women is dangerous. To specialize in them is worse.
Oh, that is gnarly. I like that.
Women are not in love with me, but with the picture of me on the screen. I am merely the canvas upon which women paint their dreams.
I feel like that's obviously he's referring because he played a very idolized character by women, but you can really apply that to basically any kind of character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people idolize, like, remember when Twilight was a thing? A lot of people would idolize Robert Patterson, but not really him, but more so the character he played.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can find plenty of examples with women.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it is from, even now that there are tons of people who are like singers who get idolized, but they don't know who they are. They just want to fuck them because like there's this top tier dude or
Yeah,
our
they
lady.
see that image they put forth and think it's the actual person.
Yeah. Here's a few more quotes because I just love this guy's fucking quotes. They're just so damn good. A man
Yeah,
should a man should control his life. Mine is controlling me.
that's kind of depressing, but it's also very poetic. Not something I'd expect from an actor who's best known for playing like really trashy roles.
After his divorce from Jane Acker, she said she was my soulmate, but she proved to be my checkmate.
They had some wit back then.
Yeah. His final quote: "The women I love don't love me. The others don't matter." Ah.
All right then.
So, I want to do his actual trivia. I just had to go over to the back. It's like he's just so cool. I like that.
He's sassy.
Yep. At the height of his popularity, he went on a brief sojourn in his native Italy to visit friends and family, and in general to get much needed rest. When he returned to Hollywood, friends asked him if he'd been mobbed by fans while on vacation. He said no, explaining that over there, I look like every other Italian fellow on the street. That's how it is. That's real.
Especially when things were a little less diverse.
Yeah, let's be real. Italy was always diverse, and they got forced together into a giant soup, and you don't do that because they're all just so different. They still are now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny
Yeah.
like that. Um, this is actually a little neat trivia piece. He and Jane Acker had one of the shortest celebrity marriages on record. 6 hours. 6 hours.
Oh my! I'm sorry. I'm trying to wrap my head around that potential timeline of events. 6 hours? Could you imagine getting a divorce 6 hours after you're married?
After courting for just a few days, they impulsively married on the 5th in November 1990, but she locked him out of their hotel room later that night after a spat. They separated and their divorce was finalized in 1922. Ironically, after their divorce, they became good friends.
That sounds like some dad lore. Like, oh yeah, I met your friend, our friend Janie. What happened? We were married for 6 hours. It wasn't a big deal.
His father was Italian. His mother was French. He spoke at least 4 languages fluently: English, Spanish, French, and Italian. He may have spoken more. We're not sure.
Oh my god, that's a lot of languages.
His last words before passing away were, Don't pull down the blinds. I feel fine. I want the sunlight to greet me."
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah. Oh, okay, you know what? I'll give this one last one because, it ties off his death. At the time of his death, he was severely in debt, and his heirs could not afford a burial plot for him. June Mathis, friend and screenwriter of his hit films, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and Blood in Sand, agreed to temporarily loan him a space in her family crypt at Hollywood Park Cemetery so he could be interred upon his body arrival in Los Angeles. Following a coast-to-coast funeral train ride from New York, Mathis died the following year, and his body was moved into her husband's space. He is still interred there as all memorial plans fell through during the Depression. So he's just there in some guy's place.
Like a roommate who won't leave except he's dead.
Yeah, man, crazy. But that is Mr. Rudolph Valentino. We will not see him again, but we will. I think it'll be nice to bring him up in during a fucking flashback, fucking video. That'd be nice and fucking fun. Let's see a bit more of his work. But off to you with your number 9.
Yes, Emil Jannings. Very in his time, he wasn't that controversial, until he started making films for fascists. Luckily, he didn't start making those until after the 1920s, so we can ignore all of that for his career. Emil Jannings was one of those very early typecast characters. He often played these very stuffy, stiff characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
he was a guy who played one specific kind of character and did it wonderfully. One of the best examples of a typecast actor. And in the 1920s, his career was really popping off. He got an Oscar win at the first ever Oscars, winning the first ever Best Actor award. I might have mentioned this story on the show, but this is my own piece of trivia because it is my favorite thing about this man. Firstly, Emil Jannings nearly lost that Oscar to a dog. And, but the more important thing is at the end of World War II, if the story serves correctly, Emil Jannings ran out of a building holding his Oscar, presumably to a bunch of very confused American soldiers, or British as well, and said, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, I have won an Oscar." I don't know how that story ends, but I know he lived until 1950, so clearly they didn't shoot him.
Or if they did, he got really lucky.
I mean, if I was some American soldier and some Nazi guy runs out and telling me not to get him because he's a famous actor from like 20 years ago, that's not gonna do anything for me.
Just imagine the guy that doesn't shoot him like, oh wait, I'm a Big Ben fan. Hey, okay, an autograph, please.
It'd be more like, hey, my dad knows that guy. So his first role in the 1920s was Kolhesiel's Daughters. Made a lot of German films, as you would imagine. And his last film of the 20s was Betrayal. Maybe. Another one doesn't seem to be in existence. Right after the 20s, because we won't be mentioning him again, he made his best film, The Blue Angel. Though some would say The Last Command is probably better, and depends. But some trivia, because he's a weird dude. He is the first to win an Academy Award, as after being announced as a winner, he presented his Academy statue a month before the actual ceremony. This also makes the first no-show winner in the Academy Award presentation. Of the 5 U.S. films Jannings made, all silent, all for Paramount, only the Oscar-winning Last Command survived intact. Of 2 films, The Way of All Flesh and The Patriot, only brief clips remain. The other 2, Streets of Sin and Betrayal, are thought to be completely lost. He is also the first non-American actor to win an Oscar. Another important thing is in the American film industry, because he had a very thick German accent, and if you've seen any of his sound films, you will hear it. The advent of sound ended his career in America, and thus started his path to making propaganda films. So, yeah, the reason I put him at number 9 is because he is a very influential actor and very important, mostly for German film. But he, obviously being the first Best Actor winner, he's going to be on the list. And I do agree with the fact that he won. He was an incredible actor and was very good at what he did, even if what he did was kind of repetitive.
Yeah, it's a title sometimes. But with that out of the way, we are now on to our number 8s. And mine is Greta Garbo in Oz's Is.
My number 8 is Harold Lloyd.
Ooh boy, we have, these are debatably really heavy hitters. And you're like, why are they so low? It's because there's so many people of the 1920s.
We really struggled the last episode to compile a good list of actors and directors and people in Hollywood, and even some musicians that we really thought were important and we really enjoyed. We could think of a couple each. But for this video, we were genuinely struggling to just fit in 10 people.
Yeah. So, with Miss Greta Garbo is something most people don't actually know about her, is that she was not actually originally an American. She was Swedish. So she was born in 1905 and died in 1990. She was around for a good period of time. An average period of time, if you will.
Yeah.
So, to go to her films, we'll actually be seeing her probably again, at least for the next decade video. That's gonna be looking funny. Um,
She was pretty big in the 1930s.
yep, her fucking first film, and her actual looking first film was How Not to Dress. And her final film of the 1920s was The Kiss.
They really came up with the worst fucking titles for old movies, didn't they?
Let's be real, the movie titles now aren't that much better.
You know what? Never mind. Movie titles just suck a lot of the time. Nothing about the word "the kiss" makes me want to watch your movie.
Yeah. Okay. So this is okay. I said I wouldn't do any more, but just two more quotes, just because she's such a depressing woman. Good lord. There is no one who would have me. I can't cook.
That's a very 1920s thing to complain about.
Life
Could you imagine someone saying, "No one wants me. I can't cook"?
would be so wonderful if we only knew what to do with it.
I like that. That's a really sweet quote.
Yeah, she is.
Makes me want to get up and do something.
Yeah, she is also another actor, or rather actress in this case, who is on my list to do for Legend Lens. Look forward to Mary Pickford eventually.
Hopefully in the next week or so, maybe in 2 weeks.
So here's our
You'll
trivia.
get there.
To begin, she left Mr. John Gilbert standing at the altar in 1927 when she got cold feet about marrying him.
Man, there was a lot of marriage scandals in 1920s Hollywood, though that shouldn't surprise me.
Yep, she disliked Clark Gable. I think that was mutual. She thought his acting was wooden, while he considered her a snob. She was prone. Okay, this explains why she was such a sad-sounding person. She was prone to chronic depression and spent many years trying to cure it through Eastern philosophy in a solid health regimen. However, she never gave up smoking and cocktails. So depressants.
Yeah, those are two. Yeah, that probably wasn't helping much.
Yeah, she was criticized for not aiding the Allies during World War II, but it was later disclosed that she helped Britain by identifying influential Nazi sympathizers in Stockholm and providing introductions and carrying messages for British agents.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't want to go public with it because it felt like attention whoring. We'll see that a lot during World War II.
Yep, she became a U.S. citizen in 1951.
Oh, good for her.
And finally, during filming, whenever there was something going on that wasn't to her liking, she would simply say, "I think I'll go back to Sweden," which frightened the studio head so much that they gave into her every whim. That's actually how, just imagine, okay, so, they have to know that she's actually, looking serious. She had to do it, at least, once before, right?
Yeah, does that mean that at one point she actually just was fuck it, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Going back to Sweden.
She had to do it from before, right? That's the only way I can really see it happening. But yeah, back to Miss Garbo. She was interesting, and I'm looking fucking forward to doing a fucking video on her one day. As long as the Pickford video, at least I actually don't care how the fucking video does performance wise. It's just me. I'm just trying to critique myself. See how it goes. But next up with your fella.
Yes, Harold Lloyd, one of the legendary 3 silent comedians. And one of my favorites. I don't know which one I like the most, probably not Chaplin. But Harold Lloyd is pretty tied for me and Buster Keaton. Though I sometimes, depending on my mood, will side with Lloyd. His first film of the 20s was oh fuck you, IMDb. Oh my god, he made so many films. His Royal Slyness, which was short. And his last film of the 20s was Welcome Danger, also speedy. I really like a lot of his films. Even he was an actor who pretty much exclusively existed in the 20s. He made a couple films during the 1910s. And by a couple I'm realizing I mean quite a few shorts. But the 20s is when he made his real phenomenal feature-length films. Like Safety Last, The Freshman. Oh, I love The Freshman. Speedy. all of those really good. He was in Ben-Hur. What?
I'm sorry. In modern standard, when we say "I love the freshman," I'm like, "Oh fuck me!" He's gonna get clipped.
And oh no, I'm gonna get canceled for that 10 years from now. I'm not even remember saying it. Uh, let's get to some trivia about this man. He was once one of the 10 richest entertainers in the world. A
Ooh.
1919 accident with a prop bomb, which turned out to be a live bomb, cost him the thumb and forefinger on his right hand. In subsequent films, he wore a glove and prosthetic device to hide it. Remarkably, he was able to do many of his gags convincingly afterward.
Mm.
Uh, he was one of the 36 founders of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences. Wow, he's done a lot. He was the visual inspiration for the original illustrations of the superhero Superman / Clark Kent. Lloyd was 45 years old at the time, and he was modeled for Clark Kent's identity. That's really interesting.
I dig
And
that.
Superman's identity was modeled after Douglas Fairbanks. Yeah, there's uh
Next up is our number 7 choices, which is Lillian Gish and.
Clara Bow.
So we have, I believe, this is our first reappearance character, which is Lillian Gish. Miss Gish appeared last time, which means I will not go into much detail about her this time around. It's because I'm just rehashing the same information, baby. I'm not doing it. But
better thing to talk about is what do you think of Lillian Gish's performances in the 20s versus the 1910s?
So let me get you down to her films. That's where I was going to get to anyway. So I go all the way up. Good lord, she had 11 films. So she had a brief run in the damn 20s. She wasn't popping off that much because her real big run was the damn 30s, but she was still good in the damn 20s nonetheless. But her first film in the 20s was Way Down East. And
yes, I remember watching that.
her last film was The Wind. So I did not watch The Wind, but I did watch The Enemy, and that was really fucking good. Ooh. So what I will say about Miss Gish, just because, and I'll of course go over some quotes if she has any. I'll include some additional quotes. Why not? I think that Miss Gish was a person who, how do I say this? She had a lot going for her. She truly did. It's just, I feel like she got really undersold by the damn directors. She should have done way more stuff.
Yeah, old Hollywood was not great with keeping good talent and ended up overemphasizing talent that probably wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I'll just give her one quote because this basically summarizes how she feels and what I feel. Those little virgins. After 5 minutes, you got sick of playing them. To make them more interesting was hard work.
Yeah, that's fair for an actress.
Yeah. And well, that's Lillian Gish. I know there's not much there, but that's just how it is for people that basically got recanted. Again, of course, we probably should have include new folks, but come on now, there's no way we're not including Buster Keaton and Chaplin again. They had to be included.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I believe did Clara Bow show up last time? No, she's from the 20s. Never mind. Yeah. She might show up again nope, she won't show up again in 30. She was really just a 20s actress.
Yep.
Her first role was Beyond the Rainbow, which sounds gay. And then her last film of the 20s was The Saturday Night Kid. Clara Bow is kind of known now as the original It Girl, whatever that could technically mean.
Well, she's just attractive. That's her whole thing.
Yeah, of course. There was a whole thing of the It Girl, in the 20s. She was, to put it bluntly, the biggest pair of tits in Hollywood, and they used that constantly, even featuring the bear in Wings. I really enjoy a lot of her work, but she knew what she was. she was, as she described in Wings, the whipped cream on the pie. And, that's fine. She did her job well. She did not really, her career did not survive into the sound era, unfortunately. Let's get some trivia about Miss Bow. As soon as Bo started to make money, she brought her father to live with her in Hollywood. For the next few years, she funded numerous business ventures for him, including a restaurant and a dry cleaners, all of which failed. He soon became a drunken nuisance on her sets, where he would try to pick up young girls by telling them that his daughter was Clara Bow.
Based.
After her death, there were rumors that she had faked her death, and had some reported seeing her visiting her own grave at Forest Lawn, Glendale, where she is interred next to George Burns and Gracie Allen. Clara Bow had a turbulent affair with actor Bela Lugosi um, in the late 20s. Lugosi had a nude portrait of Bow hanging in the bedroom of his small Hollywood apartment for the rest of his life.
Literally fucking based.
In 1949, after being diagnosed with schizophrenia, her regimen included shock treatments. Later in her life, her husband sent her to one of the top mental institutions in the nation. And then the last one, Clara Bow refused to write her memoirs on the grounds there were many things that might embarrass her two sons and their families. She felt all the money in the world would not compensate for the embarrassment.
She knew what she was, and she didn't want him to lead that to him. If only modern day women could do the same thing with
Oh
OnlyFans.
my!
No, no, no. I'm fucking right. I'm so fucking right. And there'll be a whole video about that one day once we get the OnlyFans era.
I'm worried.
Yeah, because it'll be the truth, and the truth fucking hurts.
Fair. On to our number 6.
Yup. Well, this is where we get to a fun discussion where it's a rehash because he did Clarabelle, but me also playing Clarabelle for my number 6, and I'll just say I'll give a quote or two. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
The more I see of men, the more I like dogs. People used to say that I had a feeling of closeness, a great warmth of loving everybody, that they could tell me their troubles.
Oh.
When asked what it was, replying in her perfect Brooklyn accent, I ain't real sure.
Oh.
And that's it.
My number 6 is Conrad Veidt. He's been in a lot of things. He was in Nosferatu. He was in what's the name of the film? The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. He was eventually in Casablanca and The Thief of Baghdad. But as for the 20s, he has, like I said, still a couple notable roles, such as literally being Nosferatu. But my favorite role of Conrad Veidt is him playing the man who laughs. Was that the name of the film? Fuck, I think I got it wrong. I think it's The Man Who Laughs, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm quite certain.
Yes, sorry, The Man Who Laughs. I was making sure I got the title right. His first film of the 20s was Der Graf von Kelly. I can't speak German. And his last film was Bride 68. We don't want to talk about the one that comes after that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. And in my opinion, Veidt was one of the best actors of the 20s, and is done my favorite role of the 20s, The Man Who Laughs. Like, he is, and even the other roles he's done, he was such a physical actor and was able to really put his whole body into his performances. I just can't help but love all of them. But quickly, here's some trivia. When Britain went to war, Veidt gave most of his estate to the war effort. He also donated a large portion of the salary from each of his movies to the British War Relief as well. Goebbels had imposed a racial questionnaire in which everyone employed in the German film industry had to declare their race to continue work. When Veidt was filing the questionnaire, he answered the question about what race was by writing he was Jewish. Veidt was not Jewish, but his wife was Jewish, and Veidt would not renounce the woman he loved. Additionally, Veidt, who was opposed to anti-Semitism, wanted to show solidarity with the German Jewish community, who were rapidly being stripped of their rights as German citizens in the spring of 1933. Whew. Oh goodness. And throughout much of the time before he, did he flee? Sounds like, yeah, he fled to Britain. He spent his time spiting the German government as much as he could. He had long been known in German theatrical circles as anti-fascist. Oh man, he was really active in World War II. One of my favorite things about Conrad Veidt is that his character, the Man Who Laughs, was the visual inspiration for the Joker.
All right. So, our next lineup is Harold Lloyd from me and from Oz.
F.W. Murnau.
All right. Well, again, this is not a rehash. I don't need to go in everything that's already been said about Harold fucking Lloyd. I think quotes again. And some quotes from Harold Lloyd is, comedy comes from inside. It comes from your face. It comes from your body.
No.
I do not believe the public will want spoken comedy. Motion pictures and the spoken arts are two distinct arts.
Well, that was, yep, that's something a silent comedian would say right before their career falls off.
I don't know. I feel like, in a sense, if you can master your distinct art, you can tell your comedy without actually speaking.
Yeah.
So, he's not wrong. He's not right either. It's really a subjective there.
That's fair.
When asked why he abandoned his Lonesome Luke character in that type of character, Charlie, or rather Charles Chaplin, had to mark a corner on that. He had it down to a science, and that's his response there. When asked whatever the transition from silence to sound made any problems because of his voice, as with so many other stars from that era, I had to work a little on my voice because I hadn't used it for years. I went to a voice coach about 5 days, and he said, "Goodbye, you weren't just using it right." And that's I'll broken for one more. In 1970, my humor was never cruel or cynical. I just took life and poked fun at it. We made it so it could be understood the world over without language barriers. We seem to have conquered the time barrier too. True.
Aw, that's sweet.
All right, off to you, guy.
Yeah, F.W. Murnau, one of the other great directors of the 1920s, who unfortunately died in 1931. His first film from the 1920s was The Head of Janus, and his last film of the 20s was Four Devils, which I'm pretty sure is lost, unfortunately. Some of the other films that he's made, which is why he's so high up on this list, include Sunrise, one of my favorite 20s films, The Last Laugh, excellent film with Emil Jannings, Nosferatu, oh man, and Faust. Really made some of the best films of that time. And let's see, Mr. Murnau, let's get some trivia in there. His Sunrise, considered one of the masterpieces of American cinema, was voted the 5th greatest film of all time in Sight and Sound's 2012 Critics Poll. It's the highest ranked silent film on the list. F.W. Murnau did not live to see the premiere of his last film. He died in an automobile accident in Santa Barbara, California.
Oofies.
The car was driven by Murnau's Filipino valet, Garcia Stevenson. Murnau was entombed in Berlin, and Robert J. Falerti, Emil Jannings, and Greta Garbo attended his funeral, and Fitz Lang delivered the funeral speech. That is, wow, it's crazy to think how many people in Hollywood were all connected to each other. His best-known film, Nosferatu: A Symphony of Horror, which many film historians consider his masterpiece, was acclaimed at the time of its release by surreal artists and writers, but had a mixed initial critical reception. The estate of Bram Stoker sued the producers for unauthorized use of the novel, and an English court ordered that all copies of the negatives of the film be destroyed. Fortunately, this could not be enforced in Germany, though the producers divested themselves of all materials by selling them to Dutch Film Production. Yeah. And that's Murnau. He had a very distinct style and very dark imagery in a lot of his films, which made him great for horror.
So, the next people we have is Amelia Jannings and...
And for number 4, Buster Keaton.
Yep, and we have another rehasher.
I didn't mean to copy your list.
So, I'll just go to trivia here, because he has no quotes from Mr. Mill here. He was denazified in 1946 and took Austrian nationality 1 year later.
Mm.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this is cool. He was the son of Emile Genez, an American businessman from St. Louis, and his wife, Marguerite Née Schwab, was a German migrant. It is said in the book Hollywood Babylon that Emile Jannings, during a short Hollywood career, kept all his money hidden in a pillow.
That seems like a very terrible place to keep your money in.
Okay, but let's be real. Would you expect somebody to keep their damn money inside of a pillow? No, you wouldn't.
I don't know, maybe I was especially clever crook in the 1920s. Then again, I'm probably gonna
No.
go.
No crook, even now, would suspect the money to be inside a fucking pillow. No one would.
That's fair.
Some of the best places to keep money is in plain damn sight, like a pillow. I love that.
That's a fair point.
All right. I'll give one more. First bigger roles at the theater followed in 1917. Okay, good for him. All right.
Yes, Keaton. We've already talked about Keaton a little bit, I believe, in our 1910s episode.
Yeah.
I like Keaton. He is probably a little bit more in my wheelhouse. He has always been a very physical actor and very stunts focused, doing all sorts of terrible things to his body in order for comedy to happen. I really love his films, and we went over a lot of them previously. But the first film of the 20s that he did was The Garage, and the last one was Spite Marriage. The Hollywood Review of 1929, which he plays a bit part. But he also did some amazing films, including one of my very rare 10 out of 10s, which is The General. He also made Steamboat Bill Jr., The Cameraman, The Navigator, Seven Chances, Our Hospitality, Sherlock Jr., Three Ages, and many more amazing comedies. Chaplin may have made some of the better comedies or might have a wider body of really, 9 out of 10 type films, but Keaton has the highest volume, for me at least, of a silent comedian of those really good 8s and 9s. Or probably just 8s. Just a lot of really great films. And again, one that even got a perfect score from me. I'll read the 1 or 2 trivia points from him. And hope I didn't already read these. On a whim, Keaton took crew member Edward Brophy and used him in a comedy role in The Cameraman. That decision launched Brophy into his own notable comedy career. He is believed to be the first person to use Buster as a name, popularizing its usage ever after.
Mm.
What do you think of Keaton?
Well, I think it's pretty cool. He did do a lot of them stunts that basically would enforce a lot of changes one day.
Yeah.
I'll get more on him once I actually get to him. But next up is our number 3s. Oh boy, we blitzed right through this one, considering a lot of this is this rehash.
Yeah, it's fair. The 1920s and the 1910s are part of the same era. My number 3 is Al Jolson.
Yep, mine is Pickford. Because Pickford it goes hard. She is cool, and we'll probably sing her again, probably.
Yeah, I think so. We'll at least be talking about her in some other videos.
Yep. So to begin with the Pickmaster, which is also she's a damn reappearance, so she already doesn't get anything to talk about here, other than her films that appear around this time. So to begin with her first film. If thank you. Her first film of 1920 was Pollyanna, and her last film of this decade is Coquette. Oh no, excuse me, The Taming of the Shrew. Sorry about that. The stream went out due to my Wi-Fi going a little bit spooky. So it happens, which is unfortunate. Oz is away right now. He is going to the bathroom, and that is just how it be. But I will handle the show here. So where was I? Ah, yes, Miss Pickford. I hope the last VOD can be recovered. But
Hello.
oh, there you are. Yeah, my power went out well, rather the Wi-Fi did, as I knew was going to happen eventually. The storm clouds are coming. It might happen again.
That's all good.
So
we're almost near the end.
Yeah. So as I said before, she is a character who basically has appeared before. So we're just giving her a quick little trivia thing, and we'll get a much bigger video on her eventually later from me. Yay!
Yay!
So let me go down. Good lord, she ended up in films. It's a pain in the ass.
It's funny, there's a lot of, you see some actors and they're in like 10 films, and then you go to like Buster Keaton and Mary Pickford and they're in like 20,000 films.
Yeah. Ooh, boy. So, as a quick trivia here, let me go all the way down. She was posthumously awarded a Golden Palm Star on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars on November 16th, 1993.
Mm.
The romance drama Coquette was her first talkie.
It didn't go well.
Unfortunately, she became estranged from her daughter Roxanne for the first time when she was at the age of 18 and ran off to marry a man her parents did not approve of.
Sounds very Hollywood.
In October 1911, a court voided her contract with IMP because she was a minor when she signed it. As a result, she left IMP for a majestic company that basically paid her $275 a week.
Which in 1920s money is, oh my god.
And finally, she was named number 24 on the American Film Institute 50 Greatest Screen Legends. Which I actually she is more than worthy of being on that list.
I guess it depends on what the date range is for that, but sure.
I'm presuming it's all from around the same timeline, so she's a worthy lady. She was a good actress.
I was worried it was of all time, of which I would go, no.
Then that'd be kind of unfair to include people from like 2020s. That'd be kind of silly.
Yeah.
Or to suggest it for they were like, oh, Chaplin #1. There no diff anybody. But
no one can waddle like Chaplin.
In the same stage company as Lillian Gish and Dorothy Gish in the early 1900s.
Mm.
And that is all she wrote for Miss Mary Pickford. Next up is yours.
Al Jolson. Ooh. Al Jolson is a character who is incredibly complicated to talk about in such a short time, and probably deserves his own legend lens. He was in a lot of things, but most notably during the 20s, he was in The Jazz Singer, which was technically his first feature-length film of the 20s. He was only in like 5 films in the 20s. But the reason I pointed out is because being the starring actor in the first ever feature-length sound film is a big deal. He was such a big deal at the first ever Oscars that they voided him from being able to win any awards because it would have been so unfair and he would have sweeped the entire award show. And I believe he received a special award instead.
What I'm hearing is all the other actors basically had a damn skill issue, so they damn nerfed the damn big dog.
Put it in video game terms, yes.
Skill issue.
We actually talked about Al Jolson last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we don't go into too much detail about him then.
He was friends with Bing Crosby, that's cool.
Ooh.
He was also the first musical artist to sell 10 million copies.
Okay.
He was popular. And like I said on the last episode, strangely, for a guy who did blackface, not very racist.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. We appreciate someone we can not hate. On to our number two. I think we have the same one for number two.
We just might. Yes, The Chapel.
The Chapelium, which was our number one for one of our number ones, I think.
Yeah. So Mr. Charlie Chaplin, he's a legend, and we'll be seeing him at least one more time, and probably his damn granddaughter as a honorary guest in the very far future, as I said so. Yeah. I like Charlie Chaplin, and I was actually debating between him and Buster Keaton for number one. And ultimately, it of course went to Chaplin. Otherwise, we wouldn't talk about this motherfucker right now. Um, so obviously, we're not rehashing every damn thing. So I'm just gonna pull out some quotes, and then we'll just keep it pushing.
He did a lot of stuff in the 20s. I'd say, I don't know if you agree, but I would say that he probably hit his stride in the 20s.
I do like his damn 30s work. It was good.
That's fair.
So some lovely trivia is that his mother was so poor she was once forced to pawn her son's spare clothes. She was also in and out of mental hospitals for her entire life.
Ooh.
He was also an accomplished musician in his later years, often reissued his silent films with scores he composed himself.
That's cool.
His handprints, footprints, and signature were immortalized in cement at Graham, now Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. But after his fall from grace with the Americans because of his political views, possession of cement was removed from public view. It cannot be located. It is now feared lost. He wore pussies.
It's so funny that he got blackballed from Hollywood because they thought he was a communist.
Yep, when his
Probably,
last... Hmm?
he might have been.
His last piece of trivia here is when Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was unable to find work after his infamous trial, Chaplin supported him out of his own pocket. Oh, there's
That's
the rain.
kind of him.
Oh, I knew the rain was going to come. All right, your turn.
Yes. Same Chaplin. I like a lot of his 20s work. He made The Kid, which unironically made me cry, which was very rare for me. I don't really usually cry with films. I don't know. There's not much to say. He's definitely objectively, most likely the best silent comedian. Though I don't love all of his films. Definitely knew how to please a crowd, though.
Yes, he did.
And it's time for the big one, isn't it?
Yep, our number one, which is just the same fucking person, Buster Keaton.
Actually, my number one is
Oh, it is.
Fritz Lang.
Oh, okay. Well, Buster Keaton, guess what? It's a rehash time, so I'm gonna give you some trivia. He's also did he appear in the last one? I could have swore he did.
He wasn't number one, but he was in the last one.
Okay, so yeah, he's also a reappearance, and he's also a rehash because I'm not going over him again like that. So he's going to get a few trivias, and that is it. Don't worry, he's also going to get his own damn legend lens one day.
He deserves it.
So he was voted the seventh greatest director of all time by Entertainment Weekly, making him the highest ranked comedy actor, comedy director. Charlie Chaplin did not make the list.
I don't know how I feel about that.
He was named the 21st greatest actor on the 50 greatest screen legends list by the American Film Institute.
Okay.
Dick Van Dyke
fair.
Delivered his usually, good lord, at Keaton's funeral service in 1966. He appears in 4 of the American Film Institute's 100 funniest films, film movies. Good lord, The General at number 18. It's a mad world, 1963. At number 40, Sherlock Jr. And finally, at number 62, The Navigator. Oh yeah, Sherlock Jr. And then the Navigator. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when he was a child, he wanted to become an engineer.
Maybe it's for the best he didn't do that.
I don't know. For all you know, he could basically should have changed the entire engineering world.
True.
We'll never know. But that's it. Your turn.
Yes. My number one is Fritz Lang, and I put him at number one because he made two of my, or actually one of my 10 out of 10 films, and a 9 out of 10 from me. The first film of the 20s from Fritz Lang, actually, he only made a couple films in the 1910s, all of which are from 1919, but his first one is The Spiders, Episode 2, The Diamond Ship. If you're counting actual films, The Wandering Image. His last film of the 1920s was A Woman in the Moon, or Woman in the Moon. But other films he's made is Dr. Mabuse, The Gambler, which I think I watched. It was okay. Spies and Metropolis.
Ooh,
And I think we both gave Metropolis a perfect score, didn't we?
we did. It was such a good fucking film.
Yeah, so I have to give the guy who made probably the best film of the 20s. I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um Here's some trivia. His films, particularly his earlier work, were hugely influential, and he was cited as influencing the work of directors such as Alfred Hitchcock, Louis Buñuel, and Orson Welles. So if Orson Welles says he's your inspiration, I think you just get to be on this list no matter what. His first wife, Lisa Rosenthal, committed suicide. Oh boy, we're not talking about that. Lang dubbed Peter Lorre's whistling an M. He felt his off-key whistling was right for the character. He claims to have invented the countdown for dramatic purposes in his film Woman in the Moon. His use of the countdown was the first ever recorded, inspiring real-life rocket launch sequences. I did not realize that was based on a film. Dorothy Parker once remarked in reference to Lang's wife's campaigning for his career, "There's a man who's got where he is by the sweat of his frow." Both in Germany and in the United States, he was one of the most personally disliked directors around. A fact that hurt him at times in Hollywood because some actresses and actors would refuse to work with him. He also was in World War One.
Hey.
But that's Fritz Lang. I
Yeah.
really enjoy his work.
That is basically our entire main list. Ooh boy. These are some really top tier actors, but you know, there was people that basically could have been there instead of certain folks. And we did them just briefly. We won't talk about very much about them. It's another thing. For my first bonus is Gloria Swanson. She is a lady I've talked about. I've actually talked about with them before. She is cool. Who's yours?
She's just not that significant, I'd assume, or is there
No,
she
she is extremely significant. She could have been easily. She could have been in the same place as Emil Jennings. By the way. Yeah.
What changed your mind?
Simply because I think that he's more important than her. Literally.
Fair enough.
So every person that you will see me mention could have been anywhere anywhere between 1 to 10. Is that I can fault that the person that I included is more important. That's about it.
Fair.
So, besides her, I have named Joan Crawford, Janet Ganor, Lupe Velez, and finally Cecil B. DeMille. I think they're all super awesome actors and actresses. This is that I don't think that they could have topped the original 10 I had.
That's fair. My bonuses include Lewis Brooks, who played the main character in Pandora's Box. George Bancroft, who did a lot of westerns, and I think he's cool. He also played a lot of gangsters. And Mary Pickford. Mostly, these actors are good, but they either were just not my thing, I didn't really think they had a super huge place on this list, or in the case of George Bancroft, I believe his career mostly was in the 30s. Or at least the more popular parts of it, but I might be getting confused with Wallace Beery.
Yep, and we will, of course, eventually one day have them have their own, infinite fucking content. We can talk about these guys whenever we want to, for real. I do believe that Miss Swanson will be at least her will be getting her own legend lens. And you're like, but Cypher, Curse Creator, whatever. Why is it always fucking damn females? Because they're so much more interested in damn guys. They almost always are kind of the guys are always kind of been boring usually. Okay, a separate damn Chaplin and damn Keaton. Their lives were fucking interesting as fuck.
That's fair. A lot of these actors were they were actors.
Yeah. The actress that I'm most interested in doing is, of course, Lillian Gish. She's something.
Yeah.
But
But mhm.
honestly, I so before we end off this stream, I'm looking very fucking forward to into looking into these other people for Legend Lens. Of course, Miss Pickford is my one true love right now. But of course, after me, I imagine Oz wants to do his own. Do you have a actor or actress or anything else on your mind?
I don't tend to focus on people as much, but there are some people I'm interested in. I would have to find someone that really strikes my fancy when it comes to people to cover. But I'm sure I'll find someone, and it may end up being some people from the 30s and 40s. But we will get there, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I do plan to make a video like that at some point. But in more exciting news and things that will be happening soon, expect a book review pretty soon of Pride and
Ooh.
Prejudice.
One thing I'll be doing for a very lovely legend lens is called the Triple Threat. It'll be very fucking fun. It will cover the three top it girls in American history of like back
Yeah.
then, of course. So you know
Yeah.
her, you might not like her, Marilyn Monroe. She's one of the it girls. We all know her. Now,
Yeah.
of course, that's a bit like a bit of like a Russia like a big ass like Russia head. But I do think that the it girls have their place because they changed our entire perception of the female actress. And they all kind of like are like this now. They kind of ruined how a female actress can basically be in the industry without just saying I have big tits. Look at me.
Yeah, they had attitude too, which I think definitely made them unique and made them people, not just. They very clearly wanted to be more than what they were often pigeonholed as.
Yep, and unfortunately, a lot of them just didn't get that. They kind of just died in really sad ways. I actually looked it up. So two out of the three of the damn fucking triple fucking threats all died sad and lonely.
Ugh.
Yeah, and the other one, well, she disappeared one day. We don't know what happened to her.
That is extra depressing. So,
Yeah.
on that note, on a slightly less depressing note, if you made it to the end of this, we really do appreciate you. Um, Especially with our slight technical difficulties because the weather is not agreeing with Scyther.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you want to do all the social media stuff, that's just the bonus. And do you have anything to close us out, Scyther?
Yes, look forward to our next stream, because next one will be us playing board games.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna lose terribly.
Yep, we are going to have a fun time because we'll not only go over the brief, history here and there, we'll be playing the history. Woohoo!
That's always fun.
Yep. So that is all. As I will say this, this is a very important note. These people oftentimes are horrible. They are just plain horrible. That's okay though, because separate the art from the artist. That is so important to do even today, because and some people are just monsters, and that's okay. And that's all. See ya.